All right, guys. So we're going to go ahead and get started on the Purple Table Talk. You guys already know me, but I always like to do introductions. So I'm Shelby Valentine. I'm a prevention specialist at Brandywine Counseling. And we also run social media pages. So we were just looking for really creative ways to engage the public. And that's kind of how the Purple Table Talk started, so we could get a roundtable discussion going that people could watch. So I will go ahead and let you guys introduce yourselves one at a time, whoever would like to start.
Okay, I guess I'll go. My name is Imani Williams. I just recently graduated from DSU, psychology major, and I have now relocated to North Carolina.
Whoever wants to go next.
Me. I'm James Clark. I'm a student at DSU as well. I'm a senior majoring in social work, and I'm also interning with Shelby.
I'm Mahogany Allen Bird. I'm a senior. My major is psychology, and I'm also interning with Shelby.
All right, so I'm just going to go over some ground rules. So today we'll be talking about substance use and mental health among college students, and we're going to specifically focus on DSU. Do not feel obligated to share. If there's anything that you don't feel comfortable sharing, that's completely fine. Don't feel like you're obligated to. Be respectful of others' viewpoints, and then try to avoid using words that may be triggering or offensive. So we'll jump right in. Our first question is, mental health seems to be prominent amongst college students. Does anyone feel comfortable sharing your experience with mental health struggles as a college student? Do you currently know where your counseling center is located or where you can go to receive mental health services in your area?
We're gonna go, Imani. Okay. Me with my mental health, I've experienced some states of depression and anxiety, and I also did some research on mental health amongst college students, and they said that addiction, suicide, anxiety, and depression and eating disorders were the top 5 mental health issues most college students, and myself experienced that, especially when it came for times for like exams or I was taking too many classes. In regard to our counseling session or service, I don't know what that is, but I go to like my professors and stuff because I am majoring in social work, but I do not know where the counseling services centers are.
Mahogany, if you feel comfortable sharing, we lost Amani for a second, so you can go ahead.
Okay, yeah, so I can share. So I know with me, my main thing was anxiety, because coming in, I transferred into DSU. So with me, it was taking 18 credits a semester while also still trying to be like active on campus. Being 4.5 hours away from home, it was a matter of trying to like balance home life and working and then still being full-time at school doing everything. I know with me, it was a lot of stuff that was going on at home that I couldn't go home to. So mine was mainly anxiety. I know where the counseling center is. It's actually in like a little cottage right outside of Warren Franklin. It's like 504 or 540, one of those, but they have like peer counseling and everything. So that is a resource on campus.
For me, I felt like I kind of was experiencing like, mental health issues all throughout college, but I don't want to normalize it and say the basics, but, I feel like, the kind of everyday things that we encountered as college students, but I think that it was triggered the most at the very beginning of the pandemic, because during that time was when it was spring break. So basically everyone had went home or had went to Miami or whatever like that, but I actually stayed. So when it was said that, no students can come back or anything like that, I was the only one that was there, like literally from the beginning of the pandemic up until the middle of July. And that isolation and just like literally being there alone and by myself it triggered my anxiety, and that kind of triggered some type of paranoia. And I was like extremely scared of failure. Like I felt like everything from classes to work to, me trying to relocate, me trying to graduate, I felt like in every circumstance I was going to fail, which brought me into depression. So then I went into like this whole thing, and I did the cliche big chop. And I literally remember the day, like I went in my bathroom, I FaceTime one of my line sisters, and I just started cutting my hair off. And for me, it was like afterward, I didn't get that feeling that everybody talks about. It's like, okay, it's all gone. I still felt so bounded to everything that was affecting me. And then fast forward, I did, end up being able to graduate. I got a job in North Carolina that I love. I have a house and everything like that, but I did decide to re-enroll. And not like many others, I actually decided to redo my senior year to make myself more attractive when it comes to applying to grad school. And that took a mental toll on me, because now it's like I'm trying to juggle having a career, relocating, and then a new house, all while still, getting my work done and stuff like that. And even those classes I already took, it still takes a lot out of you. So right now it's just, dealing with that. But I have looked towards, meditation and yoga and things like that. And that all have helped me really calm down emotionally and mentally. And it brings my physical at ease. And as far as counseling, like Mahogany said, the center is right outside of Warren Frank. And for me, now that I have relocated, I have found a company out here. They don't take insurance, so I won't lie, it's not like the best quality, but I am trying to use that as an outlet, like I said, in you with my meditations and things like that.
That's awesome. Thank you guys so much for sharing. It's really interesting to hear how you guys all had different stories, but you all at some point like felt the same kind of emotions. And it's always interesting to hear if you guys know where the counseling center is, because I was a commuter, so it was like pretty normal for me to not really know where the counseling center was. And I actually didn't find out until my senior year, when we were doing a project and we had to team up with a counseling center. But it's really, really crazy to hear how like there's people that have been on campus for 4 years and like still don't know where the counseling center is. So it's definitely something that they should think about including in the tours, because I heard it's not. So hopefully they start putting that in there. So James, can you hear us?
I can now. My Bluetooth was on and it had connected to my AirPods.
You're okay. I wanted to make sure you Okay, so we'll move on. So while there are many mental health outlets, substances are often used as a quick fix. Can anyone tell me if either you or someone you know have misused illegal substances? So that includes alcohol, illicit drugs, or prescription drugs. And does yourself or the person you know do this often? If so, how often? And do you think it could possibly lead to addiction? If you need me to repeat that, let me know. I know that was a mouthful.
So when I graduated high school back in 2014, I wanted to attend Del State, but I didn't. So I went to Del Tech and I started there. Everyone said that Del State was like this big party school and they did all these kind of things and they were like drinking, partying and stuff like that. I was like, okay, that sounds lit. That's where I want to go. But then I was like, okay, I'm going to take the cheap route and go to Del Tech and then transfer. So when I transferred over, um, the drinking and stuff I did there and socializing with the other students was really, really big when I first transferred when did I come to Del State? Last fall, I went to Del State. But while I was at Del Tech, I was always at Del State. So every time I left class from Del Tech, I was at Del State, turning up, partying, drinking with everybody out there, fraternizing stuff with the Greeks. And it was like a really, really big thing. That's when they had field day. They always had the homecoming was popping. Everything was like really lit. And I seen like everyone like drinking and smoking, but also with that, it was like a lot of violence as well, and a lot of like accidents and things that were occurring. So then over the years, Del State actually kind of like tightened up with events that we could have. Like field day was taken away. People who were not attending Del State couldn't come to events and stuff like that. And it was finding that people outside of Del State were actually coming to the events. That was me. I was outside at the time, but They were coming and it was like stirring up trouble, but it was like really lit. But there was times I think I was there. I seen people passed out. They had like kegs and everything out there. So binge drinking was really really big at Del State. Currently, since the pandemic, I've been invited to a few friends' homes and stuff to drink or anything like that. But before the pandemic happened, I felt that was really really big that people at Del State drunk all the time. Did I answer the question? Was there another part? Am I missing something?
No, you're good. If you want to add anything to it, it was just if you or someone you know has misused illegal substances, does yourself or the person you know do this often? If so, how often? And do you think it could possibly lead to addiction?
Oh,
If you feel
I
comfortable.
know people who drink every weekend. A lot of my peers, they drink every weekend. I drink sometimes. But leading to addiction, no, because their life is still manageable and it's not like they're like drinking every single day and it's not like they have to wake up and take a drink or they have to go to sleep and take a drink or to do their job, they have to take a drink. No, they don't do any of that. They're more like social drinkers, but at the same time, binge drinkers because they consume a lot of alcohol.
Okay, so I guess since we're posting this, I can't lie about, what I do. Um, so I'll address, so Shelby, when you say illicit drugs, you mean marijuana and things like that, right?
Yep. So it's alcohol, illicit drugs, like you said, and prescription drugs. So pretty much anything that would
Okay.
be illegal or alcohol is legal to consume.
Okay. Okay. So to not make this a really long, drawn out answer, I feel like, first of all, the way you indulge determines what the outcome of your use will be. So when you talk about smoking weed or marijuana, when you talk about drinking or anything, or those two in particular, I don't think that the immediate use of such equates to it leading to an addiction, because everyone who drinks isn't alcoholic. Everybody who smokes marijuana does not go on to try, crack or meth or anything like that. I feel like it becomes an issue and it becomes a trigger to addiction when you are indulging for your mental stability. When you use these things and you rely on them as a way to keep you calm or keep you normal or to cope or to deflect from feeling a certain feeling or just dealing with life in general. So like I said, since it's being aired and I have peers that are going to watch this, I can't lie about what I indulge in, because while I will admit that, yes, I do smoke marijuana, I know what I'm doing. I have done research on it. I know what strands are for what. I know the difference between THC and CBD and what the uses are and why you should use CBD for this thing or THC for something else. I know what I'm doing. I know how to look at it to make sure that it's not laced with anything. And if I am curious, I know not to, go ahead and partake in that session with those people, or even if, is me by myself. However, I do, on the other hand, know people who do, start out and they start out with just smoking marijuana, and then it does lead to other things. But like I said, everyone who drinks alcohol does not go on to become alcoholic. Everybody who smokes marijuana does not go on to try other high-end drugs. It's all about what your purpose is for the use and your knowledge on it and how you conduct yourself.
I like that response, Imani. Very, very, very well elaborated. And also to add in, I think that when it comes to using illicit drugs and drinking and stuff like that, it's all a part of self-exploration as young adults, because those who are between ages 18 and 24, college students, um, typically it's like not uncommon for them to be curious about marijuana or alcohol or doing or taking Adderall or something like that to help stay up or something like that. It's not uncommon, and it's about self. Okay, well, this is not for me. and they shun away from it. But also peer pressure comes in and it's just like, okay, well, you did it this time, so let's do it this time, and then it becomes a cycle. But then again, what Imani said is all about your use for it. And I don't think that um, addiction would be their prime end result.
Mahogany, did you want to share it all?
Okay, so I'll share on the whole alcohol aspect because I do drink. So with me, I feel like when I first came to DSU, I was already 22. So for me, it was just like, okay, like, yeah, but when I first got there, I'm not even gonna lie, like I drank a lot, like a lot. It was for fun though. It was just for fun. But I know like with me having fun, even when I would come home and try and have fun and do the same thing, a lot of times what I noticed was like close friends that I have, I would get home and realize like them drinking, it was for fun. For them, it was like an escape. So a lot of times it ended up being incidents that would happen because of the fact that we were drinking, where it was like emotional breakdowns, or one was like a bar fight that one of my friends got into. Like it was a whole bunch of stuff where it turned me away from drinking so much, and more so like figuring out like, oh, this is my friend. Like I need to figure out what is wrong with him, because it's just like, it was fun at first, but I know like for me, it turned me off from drinking as much. Now it's like, you got to catch me when you can. Before I used to do it all the time, but now I don't know. I don't know. It turned me off from it.
Yeah. I definitely can agree with that, because I feel like since we're like young, I feel like people out in our age group feel like to say you're an alcoholic at 22 isn't a realistic thing. Like it's being an alcoholic is only for, people that you see on TV at AA meetings, and they're all like in their 40s and stuff. But the alcoholism and the addiction to such starts at these years. And like Mahogany said, when we have those friends, we think it's funny or we think it's common when, they get really, really drunk and they start hysterically crying and stuff like that. But like the saying says, a drunk mind speaks a sober heart. And that a lot of the time, those tears are bottled up emotion that she does not express when she's sober. And because she has no self-control right now, this is, her time to let it out. And we should begin to take heed to those type of things when they sober up. Like, hey, I mean, I know you was drunk, but like, is this something we need to talk about? Or even if you don't feel comfortable with approaching a friend, be mindful, like observe their behavior and look at the difference from how they are when they're drunk and how they are when they're sober. And I feel like we have to stop justifying drunk actions with just, okay, it's the alcohol. Like I said, when it becomes indulged for mental stability or to deflect from feeling an emotion, those are when you seeing the raw emotion and what they're hindering when they're sober. So I think Mahogany brought up a great point about like, seeing that type of behavior and kind of wanting to stand clear of it, because that makes you realize some things about yourself, how you need to be aware of yourself and how you may be when you're drunk and things that you may not be dealing with.
Thank you guys so much for being honest. I really appreciate it. That was very brave of you guys. I really, really liked what all of you touched on. I really like that you pointed out this is like the experimental stage, because it is. And definitely what I do in prevention, we don't encourage people to, try substances. We just want them to be educated on what they're possibly going to be exposed to, because it's a little naive to think that they're not. So I definitely agree with you. I definitely think it's really important to be educated on what, might end up in front of you one day. And also, Mahogany, that was a really great point to be aware of, not only you, but like how your friends and, your loved ones are acting if they are on substances. Like maybe that's something that you do need to address, the next day when they sober up. So that was really great, you guys. So we're going to get a little bit deep for a second. So if anyone feels comfortable, would you be willing to share an experience where either you or someone used or considered using substances as a method of suicide? Or have you or someone accidentally overdosed or possibly experienced alcohol poisoning? Just share that experience with me if you feel comfortable.
Anybody want to go?
Okay, so I'm not considering using a substance as a method of suicide, but knowing someone that experienced alcohol poisoning, absolutely. Like before I came to DSU, I was at another university, and we were actually at a gathering, and I don't know, like when you're at a party, you don't really, it's like you pay attention to everybody, but at the same time, like some people start to like get away from you as more and more people come, more and more people come. So I know one of my friends, one of the girls that she actually came with, later she ended up finding her like passed out on the couch. And we ended up having to call the ambulance to come. It ended up being that she ended up having like alcohol poisoning. They had to pump her stomach. Like it was crazy. It really was. That was like my experience with it, because I think with everyone that was there, it was more of like a panic and realizing like we were having fun, and look at how quick this just turned just from being careless for like the moment. So that was like our closest experience.
I don't know anyone who has used substances to try to commit suicide. I can't really comment on that.
Yeah, like James said, I don't know anyone who, intentionally tried to use alcohol or any other prescription for suicide. I can only just recount my freshman year, a peer of mine just indulging so harshly and unresponsibly. Mind you, we were freshmen. So this is around the time where, freshmen were kind of known for out in the Ville and going to Ville parties and things like that with upperclassmen. Particularly the females going to male rooms that, these were the lit rooms, and they would literally host parties for female freshmen. And I just know one particular young lady went and she indulged a lot. Everclear to be particular. So yeah, you guys know, just like anybody else watching knows, Everclear is a different type of, it's different. And ultimately, came back to our hall and was found basically unconscious in the bathroom, and it was on my wing. So to, have to kind of see that firsthand and just see the effects of how just being careless when it comes to alcohol, even if it wasn't intentional, like I said, just being careless about it and not, watching how you're indulging. It was kind of like an unintentional setup for that, if you would, I'm pretty sure she didn't have any intentions on getting that drunk, but when you are uneducated and, kind of in a space where it's not promoted for you to be educated in that realm for the benefit of the other people that's there, that's the end result.
I'm personally glad that you guys don't have a lot of stories. That means that DSU, isn't too terrible when it comes to drinking. Binge drinking is just really, really common with college students in general. And a lot of people don't, I guess, really think that they do it until you kind of break it down for them. And you're like, okay, well, you took like 5 shots in an hour. Like, it's a little bit of binge drinking there. But I am really glad to hear that no one's really experienced too much on DSU campus. It's definitely made this question a little bit lighter. So we'll move on to the last one. So if you could change anything at DSU to improve substance misuse or mental health services on campus, what would they be?
I think that we should have a class or like a mandatory forum or something that you must attend, or have so many credit hours and attending a substance abuse seminar, and even with like sexual prevention and stuff like that. Just like a preventative course that you must take, because there isn't really a course designated to teach about substance abuse and other prevention measures, unless you're enrolled in like one of the programs, unless you're like public health or psychology and sociology. You touch on it, and then they may host some forums or seminars, but they're not mandatory. So I think having a mandated course would be very much influential, and it could get to every single student, because not every student is going to attend the seminars or webinars, anything that they're having. And also include, like you said earlier, Shelby, include in the tours about the counseling center, because I have no idea where that is. But also, again, I'm a commuter, so I don't really need to go there. But if I had to, I didn't even know where to go.
Mahogany, you want to go?
Okay, so I would say, I feel like considering a lot of our student leaders, they have a lot of influence. So I feel like use that avenue to promote mental health. Use that avenue to find fun ways to educate the student body. A lot of people listen to our student leaders because of the fact that they're the same age. So I feel like giving them information for them to promote out to everyone, for them to educate everyone, that'll be another way to get information out. Because I feel like forums, a lot of people don't pay attention to those when you get those emails. A lot of people don't know where the counseling service is, or a lot of people kind of like shy away from it because of the fact that they don't want to be judged for going, or it's a lot of stuff like that. So I feel like using the student leaders to basically say like, this is okay, we all support it, this is what we're trying to promote, this is what we're trying to get everyone to join in on, this is what we need everyone to actually come together for. I feel like using student leadership would be a way to make it better on the campus.
I feel like as far as mental health goes, I think that it would be really effective if your freshman year, in addition to getting, assigned your advisor, all freshmen were assigned a peer counselor. And the duties of this peer counselor would be to do, weekly check-ins or even daily check-ins, because I feel like your freshman year is when you first kind of form your college habits, is when you kind of set the tone. Even though for the years to come, you can have alterations, is really how you set the tone for how you are going to be in college. You go through the freshman blues, you go through the why am I here? I miss home, feeling like you kind of don't belong or kind of feeling lost because you're on the campus. And if you don't adjust to the social life that DSU gives, it can become very draining and make someone feel extremely little. And I know this past semester, the semester before last, I interned for Miss Sewell, and I was her assistant for her freshman seminar class. And there was one young lady in particularly that I connected with from the class. And it's because I can tell from afar, she just seemed so like out of it. Like she seemed so like shy, but it was like a shy, like I want to give myself, but I'm scared. Like I don't know where to start. And I spoke to her. I would always send her uplifting words and stuff like that. And unfortunately, it kind of still resulted into her transferring from the school. And that made me realize, like, how many people I've seen that I've started school with, and by sophomore year, they didn't come back, And I feel like if you kind of create that habit of therapy and having someone to talk to, when you first enter this environment, it creates a habit for the years to follow. And now sophomores and upperclassmen are all using the therapy center, or all using the counseling center. And we have normalized talking about our problems and going to get counseling because it was, kind of given to us when we first got here.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Oh, James, did you want to touch on that?
Oh, yeah, I was about to say something really fast. I know that I follow a lot of students from school on social media. And I see frequently a lot of students post like check-in things on their stories, and like it'd be like put like a red heart if you're feeling okay, or a green heart or something, like if you're depressed or something like that. And I was like, okay, are they just doing this just to do it and like to promote mental health awareness or anything like that? And are they really going to try to talk to the person who's checking in? So I clicked it and I put like I was depressed or something, and the person actually wrote back to me and asked me what was going on and stuff like that. So I think that like using social media that way as well is really very much helpful, because some people don't like doing face-to-face talking. Like me, I'd rather not convey my express my feelings in person. I could do it like over phone or through text messages, but I think that using a platform like that would be really dope. Or like a Dear Sally or something, or Dear Abby, you know. And then you could use that for the whole student body, and then all other students could chime in, and make it like completely anonymous or something like that. And then everyone could chime in, share their experiences, and you know, it's a sense of like comfort.
Yeah, I love all those ideas. I'm like thinking, like thinking we can start like applying, because we do work with college students, we work with high schoolers and even middle schoolers. But I definitely agree with just about everything you guys said, especially James. If you're not like a public health major, even like a psychology major, there's like no reason for you to ever go go over like any type of mental health course. Because I remember even my freshman forms, like it was just stuff on like what to do about financial aid and
Yeah.
how to like do time management and stuff like that. And I actually didn't even take my course for, it was like mental health and stress is, I think, or stress management is what it was called. And I didn't even take it until my senior year. And it wasn't even like super in depth. It was just kind of like techniques that you can use and you can teach others to do to manage your mental health. So I definitely think it's important, all of them, to, maybe have a forum, do stuff on social media, have leadership platforms, do stuff with freshmen. I think it's really important because you can tell someone what to do with their mental health, but if they don't fully like understand like what I'm feeling and why I'm feeling it, like how is a technique really going to help them? So I definitely think all of you guys did a really, really great job. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your night to be on here with me, because you guys are usually stuck with me on Tuesdays. So I appreciate that you got stuck with me on yet another Tuesday. But that was the Purple Table Talk, you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank